Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Play Along Podcast, the podcast where we play through games. And in today's episode, we're diving more into the exciting world of 1,000 Times Resist. Shit gets kind of crazy in this episode, and I'm excited to get into it. I'm your host, Jared, and I'm joined with Kai and Ben as always. Gentlemen, how you doing? Happy New Year. Well, it's like mid-January for the people, but it's our first recording for 2026, which is exciting.
Happy 2026, invading Venezuela. Kick off the
three
year.
fucking days into 2026. We couldn't make it 3 days without some disaster happening in the world.
But outside of that,
Yeah.
I'm not in Venezuela, so doing well.
Doing well.
Yeah, doing good. We were saying pre-recording, we just played some Peak. It was my first jump into that game, and yeah, it's fucking.
I'm gonna be honest. Fun. I'd rather be doing that than this, but here we go.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Look,
well,
we record it and call it a bonus episode.
Honestly, I feel like that's just shows how well and how. If you haven't played Peak, this is just your PSA to play. It's a good time. We only played like what 30 to 45 minutes of that, and Kai's like, this is great, like this is a good time. We played very little and it's already such an enjoyable
I got a taste. I didn't even get to experience.
We even passed the first level, so it's like there's so much more.
We have not made it to a peak at this.
But Bing Bong came in handy, I'm sure.
Bing Bong, yes.
I think
Bing Bong was there too. But starting in 2026, what we're going to do is, I don't even know if I talked about this in the last episode of 1,000 Times Resist, but we're going to start bringing guests on to our book club episodes, right? We play through all these sections and these chunks. We have so many friends that we want to get on and talk about video games. So, hey, why not have more people and more friends on to talk about video games with? And making their debut for our first guest in our book club series, of course, it had to be the one, the only Matt Storm, aka Stormageddon, for Fun and Games and Reignite. Matt, aka fourth guest, fourth host. How you doing?
It's good. Definitely not their debut, but they
on this specific game.
Yeah, I've run the gamut now. I've done Get Wrecked. I've done a one-off episode. I've done several one-off episodes. No, I'm honored to be here. I love the show. It's been fun to using your podcast as an excuse to play more of my backlog has been fun. And I am bad at sticking to my backlog stuff, so having like a goal and having the conversation, like I had so much fun with the Need for Speed stuff because I hadn't played a game in that series in a while. It was a wild series. The story was, what it was, but playing the game was fun and it got me back into racers, which was neat. But it's exciting to be here and be a part of this. And yeah, when Jared asked if I wanted to do this game specifically, I was like, yes, I'm in, without a doubt. So I'm happy to be here. I joked on social media that I'm the unofficial fourth chair of the podcast at this point, basically.
The council welcomes you as the fourth unofficial host of Play Along. Well, this game specifically is kind of really, it's a good kind of jumping off point for this style of thing because you can go and replay through chapters. So when we have guests on, whether they want to or whether they don't want to, you can easily jump back in and play through the specific sections that we're talking about if you've already played through the game, which is really nice to do.
Yeah, make it sound like we force them to, like whether they want to or not, they have to
whether
play
you want
section.
to or you don't want to. No, I meant more or less like playing through, because you don't have to play through it. I mean, if you already played through it and beat it, if you remember it more or less, then that's perfectly fine.
We're having a new camera angle, bro.
I know. I would try to, this has happened a lot.
He's trying to hide the wall. He's hiding the wall because he's still
by the way, we can still see the fact that he has not hung up his art. It's the corner of it.
You can see it in the corner of the camera. Yeah,
perfectly highlighting. There we go.
It turns the chair.
Oh my god, pointing a camera is so fucking hard. The Totoro poster still on the floor, not going up. I'll be here at this place for at least another year. So I mean, I got to do it eventually.
Honestly, I think at this point,
you just put it in a box.
It will have been on. It'll be on the floor longer than it will be on the wall. So
you know what? That's true. That is fair. I have an icebreaker question for you guys. Do you guys have any New Year's resolutions? Anything that you're going into this new year where you're like, this is what I'm going to do? You anti New Year's resolution? Time's a fucking flat circle and nothing matters.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of part of it. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I do kind of want to push myself out my comfort zone a little bit. There's some stuff that I've said I wanted to do over the years.
Yeah.
I said like in the Discord, I went out and shot film for the first time.
Yeah, I was like, you're doing more photography stuff, which is, I know you love photography. So.
Got them back. they're fine. You know, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn.
I feel like they're
Exposures
good. I feel like
and
you're hard on
stuff, and,
yourself
like,
though, too. I feel like they're good.
yeah, dude, I'm such a fucking perfectionist. But also, like, I've been saying for years that I want to get into like doing some sort of voice acting or audio, like voiceover stuff or something. So looking into that, but I mean, you know, that's a long way off. But yeah, I think
you don't talk into a microphone enough.
Do you know what I mean?
Say, you've got a lot of VO experience already.
Yeah, honestly, there are less 5 years of backlog of just like you talking on a mic.
I think like it's more like one of the things I enjoy about D&D the most is like the character aspects, right? And like voicing the characters and stuff. So yeah, that's something that I think. Yeah, I want to just make myself do shit that I keep saying I'm gonna do and like actually do it. Do you know what I mean? The reason I have this microphone is because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do voiceover, and then never did fucking anything except the podcast.
We need to do something with the podcast where you can like have fun, like not necessarily the D&D stuff like we did before. Have fun with voice acting is what I was. I cut myself off before I finished that.
Have fun.
Have fun in general.
Notoriously, you guys never have fun on this podcast.
No. We're anti-fun.
Not at all. Kai, do you have any New Year's resolutions for this year? Anything you want to do?
No. I want the most life-changing thing to happen in 2026 is for your child to be that thing. So like. Outside of that, that's not an awe. That's I don't want any horrifying, life-altering events outside of that to happen in 2026 in any way. So it's like let this be the year of Jared's child, and that will be fine with me.
Yes, that would be great. Like, nothing else crazy happening, no crazy life events. That's the only one that we need.
And for those of you watching, you can see that I am moving, so everything is in boxes currently.
I feel like y'all move so much. Like,
guys lived in the same place for 6 years.
That's not true. I've lived in the place for 3 years.
Oh, 3 years.
We lived together for 2 of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, I bought a house, so I'm not moving.
Hell yeah.
I'm not moving anytime soon. So
he's a homeowner, baby.
Yeah.
Must be nice to afford a house. I live in New York, so that's a pipe dream.
I mean, we're in California, so it's
I'm outside LA, so it's not better.
Hell yeah! Then yeah. Well, then you definitely deserve congratulations that you found.
And you're definitely not moving anytime soon after.
No. This will be.
I'll have to find out where you are in LA because off air because my spouse and I visit LA often. Since we hook up
Kai's closer. I'm like an hour from LA, and Kai's like 40 to 30 minutes from LA.
Yeah.
Like
nice. Then we definitely got to get together next time out there.
Yeah. For sure.
My spouse Sarah and I have a bunch of friends who live out there. Folks who like write for TV and actors and stuff who we've known over the years. And so we try, and family out there too. So we try to get out there every few years. So
we gotta
hit me up via mail,
via messenger.
I was gonna say what I'm actually gonna do is message Jared to message you because because
Jared will just text me things in Discord that
I even this morning when I was talking to Ben's like, "Is Kai gonna play?" I was like, "Hold on, let me text him." But we're in a group chat Discord where Kai can see the messages that I'm sending Ben. It's so funny.
Yeah.
What about I'm not good at Discord. Yeah. What about
Matt? Any New Year's resolutions for 2020?
So I don't like New Year's resolutions. It puts this ungodly like pressure on it. I always have goals though. My goal last year was to write a written review every month, to review a new indie game every month, and I did it for 11 months, which was awesome. I used to write all the time in college. I did music reviews and stuff, and then kind of fell off. And now that Jeff and I have a Patreon for our fun and games, and we're always trying to look for a way to create more stuff that's a little less lift than just recording more podcasts. I wanted to flex my muscle writing, and we get review codes for stuff. And I was like, I don't want to ask for stuff that I can't use. And the devs can't always do interviews. I always say, hey, can I get a code for an interview? And if they can't, like, technically the weight's off me. I said the purpose I needed it for, but I still want to try and highlight games, especially games that people maybe have never heard of. And so I did that last year, and it was great. And I feel good about it. And I feel confident. Like I found my voice. I feel like it's very similar to the way I podcast. So it's very conversational, but also because I'm not writing for an outlet, my editors are friends of mine, and they can lay out feedback in a way that doesn't absolutely destroy my spirit.
Less pressure there too.
Yeah. And so that's been fun. And so I want to step that up in the new year. Jeff and I have an idea. By the time this is out, we may have announced it, but we have an idea for a podcast series we can do monthly. So I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder, but we've kind of been trying to figure out ways we can do like a game a month podcast or a game review podcast. And so we have a couple of ideas of, we don't want to just pick a game and do it. We want like some kind of theme. And so we're toying with that. So we may do that in the new year as well. The idea right now is like Jeff picks a series that he loves, that he wants me to, Jeff picks a series that they love, that they want me to play, and I pick a series that I love, that I want them to play, and we like
sounds
alternate.
Hella familiar, Matt.
Yeah, I know. But like alternating, like doing one game per episode and alternating the series each month.
It's a cool idea though.
Yeah. And so we'll see. I don't want to give too much more away in case we absolutely botch it and don't actually do it. But yeah, and so that's kind of a big one for me. And then I want to, like, Jared and I are both in a backlog resolutions thing that friend of the show, Dave Jackson, does.
This is the year for us to do the.
Jared and I failed horribly last year, not even getting through like maybe a third of our list. And so we also had 40 games on that list, which was optimistic, we'll say.
Yeah.
And so this year I only put 25 games, and a bunch of them are 1 or 2 or 3 hour games. And so like I want to just tick through some stuff that I've always wanted to play. And then there are a few podcasts I know I'm going to be on in January, so I threw those games on the list too. Some classic stuff.
Smart.
So I want to try and pressure myself less to play the latest thing. Like I wasn't even going to play Metroid Prime 4, but then my spouse picked it up for me as a gift, which was very thoughtful. And so I was like, all right, I'll play that. But then maybe after I finish that, I'm going to try and jump into some older stuff to like clear that, because there are tons of games I'm sitting on that I've never touched that are great. And like that's again also why I've loved this podcast, because it's given me an excuse to play games that I love, or that were only okay, depending on the game.
I need to do something, because like last time I checked, I think my backlog on Infinite Backlog was like 300 and something games that like I want to get.
Rookie numbers. It's like I'm like 600 and something games on my list.
I mean, mine's probably up there, but I don't have like all the games that I have documented. But
do you know what it is? Is like the quick review thing in our Discord has been like amazing and also a curse, because like somebody will put something in and I'm like,
and you're like, oh, let me add that shit in my backlog.
Now I've got to add Ghost Detective to my fucking backlog. Like.
No, yeah, I'm the same. Where last year I had like 40 plus games. I think I did 3 of them. I did play a lot of new games last year. I never like jump into new stuff relatively, and I jumped into a lot of new games last year. But this year I have 17 games on my list, so significantly less. And I just focus on my physical collection of games. I have a lot of games that I have physical that I honestly either have never played or even never finished. So that's my focus for this year, is just to go through my physical collection.
If you don't have a backlog, there's no pressure to finish it.
I mean,
true.
Kai living the dream here.
You have the luxury that I don't have. I have.
I get recommended things from you, and then I have to play them and be like, okay, that's fine.
I mean, for me also, I'm an admin in my day job, and so like I love a spreadsheet, and I love tracking stuff. And so like I use How Long to Beat has like a backlogged kind of system where you can track your games. And so I think it was the end of last year or maybe the year before, I pulled up on one monitor my Steam list and my PlayStation list, and then I pulled up How Long to Beat and just put all the games I got from PS Plus, all of the Steam games I've gotten as gift over the years, put them all in my backlog list so I can see. Like, I mean, I mentioned this before. When I did my Get Wrecked, I played a Plague Tale: Innocence on PC. And then like a month later, I found out I had it on PlayStation Plus, and I would have rather played it on my TV and my couch instead of sitting at my computer. And it's like, God damn it. And so I don't want something like that to happen again. So that's why I'm keeping track of it.
What did that happen? It was when we played through Martha is Dead. When we played through that, I found out that I had it on Xbox, and I had purchased it wherever me and Kai ended up playing it on, which was PC or PlayStation or something. But I was like, oh, I own this game, and I purchased it. I didn't realize I owned this game. So yes, avoiding that is always good. I agree. I'm more or less like not really New Year's resolution. One of my things this year, kind of like Ben was talking about, just like putting myself in uncomfortable, like outside of my comfort zone. I would say uncomfortable situations, and that feels
not quite the same.
I'm about to have a kid. Now's the time to take a risk.
Now's the time to take risks. I mean, that alone is going to make 2026 a very interesting year. Granted, she won't be here till halfway through 2026, but still. But yeah, I'm big into the fitness and getting more into my fitness goals and everything. One thing I've been wanting to do for a while, less with people, but just like exercise wise, is boxing. I love the idea of boxing, and it's a good cardiovascular workout too. So I've been getting more into that, not only doing kind of like the exercises around it, but trying to get into that. Why are you laughing at me?
It's just, Just a sport based around getting hit in the head a lot.
No, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight people. I just like the exercise aspect.
Yes, the punching bag aspect of boxing.
Like that stuff. I don't want to like
another large man smashing your head in repeatedly.
That sounds less fun.
Way less fun.
I'm also, Kai and Ben know, most people know too, I'm also not a violent person. So it's like, I don't, even the idea of hitting someone, I'm just like, that doesn't sound like a good time.
I don't want to do that.
It's not even just like hitting somebody as hard as you can.
It's hitting someone hard too. It's for them to be like, I consent with you hitting me hard. I'm like, are you sure?
Maybe this will unlock some hidden rage that we didn't know about deep inside.
Maybe you have a monster.
You'll have an outlet for it finally.
Yeah, I gotta protect my child, so I got to have that 1-2. It's a 1-2. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do you guys have any New Year's resolutions halfway through January? Have you broke them yet? Have you stayed to your resolutions? Let us know.
Maybe your resolution is to listen to every episode of this podcast that comes out in 2026. That's a great resolution.
I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah.
Yo, if someone out there could listen to our entire catalog within a calendar year, that's impressive.
I think it just meant this year.
Yeah, I just meant listening to all the episodes of 2026.
New episodes.
But you know what?
I see.
If you're a real one, if you want to try really hard, you can potentially get through all 300 episodes that we have.
There may or may not be a prize. We don't know.
That's almost one episode per day, which is way too much hearing us talk. So the thing you get for that is brain rot. That's what you
basically.
That's the prize.
Yeah, you're gonna have really bad opinions on video games after you come out of our podcast.
Or if you just do the opposite of us, you'll have really good opinions on video games.
Matt listened to our tier list episode, and
it's fine. It's fine. So it's funny. It's like the Mario RPG thing. Like I've had a few other friends who came to it late who didn't love it. Right? I played it growing up and then replayed it, still love it. The Chrono Trigger thing still blows my mind. It's legit. Other people don't like that game either, but it's my favorite game of all time ever made. And so whenever someone doesn't like something that you love that much, it's like
it's confusing. I understand.
How are we so different? Especially considering I agree with you a lot. Like Kentucky Route Zero, though I haven't played it, from what I've watched of it and seen of it, it seems like a really transformative experience. And so, like, just to be so right about some things and so wrong about others.
So wrong. It's all
funny because I feel like
all opinions.
In that episode, we talked to, in so many words of saying like how we don't talk about this, like Chrono Trigger doesn't come up that often. We're never gonna look Chrono Trigger. It'll be here forever. We'll always be talking about Chrono Trigger.
Haunts us forever.
Haunts us dearly. Okay, well, let's get into some housekeeping before we dive into this section of 1,000 Times Resist. Whether this is your first episode, oh god, I did not actually prep
what
this
number
beforehand.
it is.
Yeah, I did not.
This is maybe the 7th episode in a row he's forgotten to prep the.
But we get to have a fun mini game of what episode y'all think this is, which we do every time I forget. So it's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
287.
280. Did you look? Did you cheat?
293.
Whether this is your first episode or your 292nd episode.
Oh, so close.
Oh, close.
I was close. We're creeping up to that 300. It's right there. Welcome to Play Along Podcast, the podcast where we play through games in a book club format. What we do is the three of us will each take turns choosing a game. We then get that game, break it up into sections, and come together every other week to talk about those sections specifically. Full spoilers in all the games we're playing, especially with a game like 1,000 Times Resist, where I think is best experienced, obviously not knowing a lot of things going into the game. So if you haven't played it, highly recommend that you at least play through with us so you can get each one of the sections. We have set up the game where it like ends on a cliffhanger every episode, so that's a great way to kind of like episodically play through the game, because again, best experience without knowing going into. But like I said, we do full spoilers for most of the games that we play through. Kai, Ben, and I all have a wide range of games that we like and that we dislike, and we've covered all of them for the podcast. At the end of last year in December, we did a tier list where the three of us ranked every single game we've played through for the last 5 years. So honestly, if you're new here and you're looking for a jumping off point, it's great to go back and check out those episodes. We also kind of run down memory lane and kind of have little anecdotes about the series that we've played. And again, Nintendo games, PlayStation games, indie games, beloved 90s RPGs that people love. We've played through them all. So go check that out if you are new here. On top of that, we also have another series on the show called Get Wrecked, where we grab a guest from the internet and swap video game recommendations. This month's episode, which was last week, I was joined by Chazzy from the Side Project podcast, and we talked about the PC game Black and White and Metal Slug. And I started playing some Black and White here recently, and that game is crazy. it's fucking insane.
It looked batshit crazy.
Yeah, don't know how that game got a sequel, but hey, you know what? It's a game. It's a game.
It's getting choked up.
Yeah, I'm getting choked up.
So emotional about his Black and White
emotional
experience.
over here. Okay, with that, we're actually going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to dive into this section of 1,000 Times Resist. See you guys in a second. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back from the break. So what we're going to do at the top of this episode is I'm actually going to toss this over to Matt because I want to know their experience kind of with 1,000 Times Resist before playing it. I know, Matt, you had said that you have played and finished 1,000 Times Resist before coming onto the show. And I want to kind of know some of your first impressions with the game when you had first played it. You know, we all have played through the intro section. We played through the beginning and talked about our feelings there. But I'm curious of your feelings on 1,000 Times Resist up to this point, Matt.
Yeah. So I had first heard about 1,000 Times Resist. I think it was May 5th, 2024 or something like that, where like 8 or 9 high profile indie games dropped at the same time. Yeah. And I was like, everyone's talking about all these different games. I think it was the day that Mouthwashing and Animal Well dropped, probably.
Oh shit, that's wild. That's
like it was all a bunch of really big indie games. And then 1,000 Times Resist, which I'd never heard of, but several people, I listened, shocking to no one, I listen to a lot of video game podcasts, and a lot of the ones that cover like new stuff like Remap or Game Informer, they were talking about this game, and I was like, all right, well, and then folks in several Discords were also talking about it. I was like, well, I've not heard of this, but I heard it's really narratively dense and interesting, and it's made by basically a theater troupe who decided to get into game development, who were like making a game for the first time. I was like, I'll give it a shot. And so I bought it. I think like I had a long weekend or something. I played the whole thing on my Steam Deck, and I was blown away by it. It was my number 6 in my top 10 of 2024. I'm habit is to say last year, but last year was 2025.
Yeah.
All of January. That's all I'm going to do. But yeah, so in 2024, it was in my top 10, and I was really blown away by it. And I ended up joining friend of the show, Rick from Pixel Project Radio, to talk about it in a long series with him and Dave Jackson. And like just really loved digging into the details of it and really was really into it. And so when you had picked it, at first I was disappointed because I'd played it already, and I played it recently, so I wasn't going to replay it, but I was like, well, at least I can listen. And then you asked me to do it, and I was like, oh, all right, yeah, I'm in. And then Jared asked me what chapters I wanted to do, and I went, I can't, you have to pick. I have no idea. Like, I love the whole game. And so but what was funny is it had been long enough that when I played it for this, I just replayed the 2 chapters, although now I kind of want to replay the whole thing. I played them on my PC instead of the Steam Deck, so I hadn't seen it on a larger scale format. It looks even prettier than it did on the Steam Deck. But I also didn't remember what chapters those were. And after finishing them, I went, oh, I'm so glad I got picked for these chapters. But also it was wild because there's stuff, we'll get to it, that happens in these 2 chapters that I went, oh, I understand now because I've played the whole game. Like there are conversations that happen and things that happen that seem surreal in the moment, but make even more sense once you get through the whole game.
Right.
But I loved it when I first played it. You know, mechanically, it's a struggle a little bit. It's clear it's someone's first game, but I think narratively the story is really interesting. The voice acting feels really kind of down to earth. As far as I know, it's all folks like who were either around in this theater troupe or that they knew that did a lot of the voice acting. And the visuals are really unique, but like I really loved it my first time through. I don't think I'll get to a full playthrough this time around, but it's funny. I booted it up and played the beginning of chapter 4, which is the bar scene, which we'll get to. And I went, oh, like I wasn't feeling it. I was like, oh yeah, all right. Running around. I mean, I have complaints about the mechanical stuff we'll talk about, but like, also they've patched this game a bunch since you guys played it, so I have some fun details to share with you too when we get to it. But anyway, when I booted it up, I was like, wasn't feeling it, wasn't the vibe. And then I got to that bar scene, and when everything happens, I went, oh no, I'm in, let's go. And I just played it straight through the 2 chapters. But yeah, I mean, I really like the game a lot, and I think it's always interesting to play someone's first game, whether you like it or not. I think it really tells you a lot about what they're trying to do. I had that experience with several games this year as well, or even if it's your first time playing a studio's game. Like I played Pipistrel and the Cursed Yo-Yo last year, which I loved. And I didn't realize that was the same team that did Dodgeball Academy, which was a huge hit a few years before, and a bunch of others. And I was like, oh, now I want to go back and play their other games, right? Because now I really liked this one. So it's always fun to get that experience. And Sunset Visitor is doing, whether you like it or not, it's completely unique to any other game that's really out
For
right
sure.
now, and that's what I think really drew me into it the first time I played it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm really excited to see, if whatever they do after this, if they do something more, if there's other sequels or if there's other stories they want to tell. So far, obviously we're only halfway through per what we're playing through, but so far I'm very interested on like the stories that they're telling. Like you said, Matt, I think in all of us more or less talked about that in the beginning where there was some issues, and obviously we know this is their first game and there wasn't professional voice acting. They had came out and said there's a mixture of some professionals, but then a lot of friends to kind of give it that more, like you said, down to earth, unique feeling, to kind of a more conversational, real kind of conversational feel to it. And honestly, I think for me, last episode, I felt that, and I still do. I think a lot of the voice acting, and maybe because I'm more familiar with a lot of these characters now, their voices are more synonymous with the person now, right? Where I was just like obviously learning who these characters were. It's a lot of lore that you're getting in the beginning about the world and everything that's going on. But now in this second episode, there's less setup, even though there's still a ton of information drop that we do get here. So I'm excited to get into it. We did end the last episode with going through the final, or not the final, with what are they called?
Went through Healer's Communion.
Communion. I want to say conclave, and that is not the right word.
I remember
conclave.
With communion, because I mean it carried on. There are some real fucking religious undertones to this game, and to like how like Allmother is acting and feeling. So communion.
Yeah, so we did Healer's Communion, and last episode we kind of got the brunt of Watcher learning a lot of the lore about Iris and Allmother. Iris's journey, the first couple of clones that Iris had created, what happened to the
ancient sister Sine.
The youngest Sine, the youngest, and how she started to clone as well. And then coming off the back of that, like Matt was talking about, we have this scene where we're going to the bar. Every kind of chapter opens up with you being able to explore more or less, talk with other characters and do things before that. I did do, because one of the things is you can go to Fixer's room. I did go to Fixer's room, and you kind of get a little cutscene. That just deepens. What?
It was an important cutscene, I felt.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because they've cleaned out Fixer's room, ready for the new Fixer, and that's what the party is in the bar. It's the graduation of the new Fixer, and we learn quite importantly that the Watcher didn't attend the graduation ceremony. But you get this like moment where Watcher has a flashback to her and Fixer like managed to get them above the sky. It was like
like looking down at their artificial sky.
But that was where there was this kind of like inclination that like they were lovers, or there was
I'm glad I wasn't the only one that got this, because I had some like romantic undertones that were there, because she's like, I have a secret, come a little closer.
The line is like, she says something and Fixer's like, oh, like, what are you gonna, and says something along the lines like, what are you gonna do? And Watcher's basically like, oh, like if you come a little bit closer you'll find out. And I was like, well, that's fucking like,
that's
like the most like fucking,
aren't they
like,
clones? How does that work?
I mean,
I don't know.
The incest of it aside, the thing that drove me wild when I first played this game is there were people saying that they're just really good friends, and like I get it,
bro. I've never once,
but
no matter how close.
Like, but, I mean, that's what it is. Is like, I don't know. Maybe this is because I'm queer, because I'm I'm more steep in that. But it seems by this scene especially, it seems so obvious. I think by the train scene in the first chapter, it could be that they're just friends, but by this scene it's like it's not even a question. They were clearly in love in some way, shape, or form, and it was maybe unrequited or non-reciprocal, but it was there somewhat.
Well, I mean,
not only that,
we never found out how Fixer responded. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Not only that, it'd be like, different. I think it would be different if it was coming from Fixer, and like our player was the one that was kind of like in the dark, or not like the one reciprocating it, but it was our character. It was Watcher. Watcher was the one like, come a little closer and I'll tell you the secret, which kind of, I was like, there's some romantic vibes here for sure. Kai, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that there's no concept of romance in their world, so you know it's probably ambiguous purposefully, because there was no way other than through communion for them to understand
or
anything.
To be as close to. I think the communions are the best way for them to kind of grow close with one another too.
I don't know how I feel about that, because I think for me that makes me think that I'm trying to say, but romance is like an innate thing, right? So even if you live in a world where
or
you don't
companionship,
know,
even if it's like a strong companion, like if they don't understand what romance means.
I mentioned this last time, right? Yes, there are obviously sexual attraction is innate for obvious reasons of, trying to keep a species alive, but
Sure.
social dynamics do exist. And the reality of this entire premise is that it is a monoculture of all of the same person copied endlessly. And that the way that you would interact socially and the way that you'd understand the sense of self would shift drastically, right? You are a representation of everyone else around you. You are all identical, and that would change how you process the world, see the world, think about who you are, think about how you interact with people. The idea of traditional romance in a way, especially in a completely single gender society. Everyone in this game is female, right? It's all based on iris, so it's they're all the same human essentially. That would change how you socially interact with the people around you, right? It wouldn't be the same social dynamics as what we experience.
And I think that's probably why it's not clear cut here too. It is ambiguous. It is more ambiguous, and I think for that specific reason.
I will say, based on Knower and the knowledge archives, it's possible they have some readings and teaching on relationships. But also to that end, my only counter argument is, although they don't explore it here, is they are all created female. Some of them could transition. They could be non-binary. They could be transgender. But we don't know, and they don't explore it. It's a possibility for sure, but it's never shown, so we don't know if they even know about transitioning or transgender norms, or what it's like to feel differently, or if you can explore that, right? I think more to what I agree with Kai is there's no word or written layout for it other than what they've learned. It's based on physical and biological needs, but they may not necessarily have the language to explore it necessarily, unless Iris experienced it in her short life.
I think also God, I mean, this could end up opening a whole can of worms, but
I'll realize it if we need to.
That's based off the assumption that they know that they are quote unquote females, and that there's the option of there being males. They're just.
I think they do know, just because there's one of the communions where I don't know if it was Watcher or if this was an Iris memory. It probably was Watcher, because Iris went to school and everything. But Watcher was saying, "This is you're the first boy that I've met in my life." So they have this understanding of just people that look like me, and in these memories you're looking at people that are biologically different than you.
I guess it's just tricky because it's not what we would count as societal norm, I guess. So it's
for sure,
I guess the way I'm looking at it is I don't think that the romance and attraction is a learned thing. I think it's an innate thing, and that they don't really, because it's a monoculture, there's no oh, well, this one, this person likes a man and this one likes a woman, and I think it's just I like you.
You're right. The person.
The person. The energy from the person.
In it being a single gender society, it then becomes genderless, because if there is no differentiation biologically, there's no reason to have a gender in the first place.
A pansexual community, essentially. But not because, Anyway, it's tricky, but it is ambiguous, yes.
Yeah. The other question that this answered was before, when there was the idea of the sisters that would either burn or someone would take the role. I had the assumption, because we didn't have the answer yet, of we just get the same person back with wiped memory, but that's not the case, right? There's a bunch of clones, and you can see all the ones that are in gray have a color to them on their shoulder pad or something like that, and that kind of indicates the direction of where they're going, whether they're a Watcher, whether they're Knower, and everything too.
They're assigned a role.
Right, exactly. And then in that bar scene that we do get, there is 3 individuals there that were kind of on the board to become the next fixer, and we meet the one that ultimately does become the fixer that we meet.
This is the comparison that's come to mind, and I've made it accidentally religious, and I don't mean it's almost like a Pope thing.
I mean,
the Pope dies, and then there's there's priests and reverends underneath them who could be picked as the next one.
This is a very Catholic Christian. I know they're not the same, but like that vibe of thing here. Yeah. Look, as a Jew, I'm covering my ass because I don't know the difference. But that said, also before we get to the bar, I just want to say, so the map that you have that looks like a child's drawing, which I think is actually kind of like a smart idea, since Iris would, who knows if Iris can draw, but Iris would have drawn this map. You can see, you can see yourself not moving on the map, but you can see yourself on the map and you can see where you're going and everything's labeled. And you can see both floors. When the game launched, there was no map. When people complained when people complained that there was no map, they made that map that was just one page based on what floor you were on, and you could not see where you were. It just showed the layout. Now, when I played it this time, I went, oh, I gotta navigate this space again. It's the thing I hate most about the game because I kept getting lost. Opened the map, could see myself on the map. The rooms were labelable, and finally, a real map. Now,
that's crazy.
I don't think it was out of spite. I'm sure it was very much like, we didn't think anyone would need this. We understand it. But I do like how slowly the map got more useful over time with this game. Is very funny to me, because when the game launched and when I played it, there was already a map, because I think it was within the first few months, but the map was basically useless. It felt like here's a map, knock yourself out. Like, it didn't feel very useful. So I'm glad there is actually a useful map now that you can at least figure out where the hell you're going.
That's so funny, because that was one of the things that we kind of criticized, was the map being a little clunky, but the idea of no map is way worse than I'll take this over no map any day.
And it is interesting because, I mean, I did want to do, and partly because the game makes a big fin of it, before you go to the bar, the secretary is very like, are you sure you want to go? Like, there's no coming back from this. Which, FYI, bullshit. There is. As soon as you open the door to the club, you can walk back out and talk to the rest.
As long as you don't hit the cutscene that's like, or talk to the fixer, the new fixer.
Yeah. But I wanted to go around, and it was good to find Fixer's room. Yeah. But it's not like a live map, so it kind of shows you like, this is where the principal is. So I wanted to go talk to the principal, because I was like, that's like, she's the overseeing sister that we have here. So I went to Principal's room, and Principal isn't in the room. She's not in her room. She's in a shrine somewhere. I had to look up where she was, and then
I'm glad you're talking about this, because I didn't do this. I just talked to the fixer stuff and then went to the bar.
She basically scolds Watcher. And you go there, and she's very like, you weren't there for your sister, and you're like, well, no, I was busy. I had other stuff going on, and I'm assuming that it's kind of, we were taking the time to process what we saw in Healer's Communion. And so Principal is basically, doesn't say like, you should do, she's like, go and speak to your new sister and apologize for not being at the graduation. And you're very like, yes, Principal, I'll go and do that.
Also, a trick that I stumbled upon, because it had been, again, a year or so since I played this game. If you're playing on a controller and you press R1 or the front bumper on the Xbox controller, it pulls up waypoints on the little navigator, and then you can find people that way, which I didn't figure out until halfway through chapter 4, because I had forgotten.
I've never used the map. I just use that
thing. I mean, the only thing that is hard with that is that it doesn't show you, because there's two levels, what level they're on, so you can guess where they are. Then they're above you, and of course there's no stairs.
There's a lot of backtracking and walking around in this game.
I can see the waypoint system working a little better, because the map is very there's a lot of visual stimuli on the map, and it's kind of hard to figure out, one, where you're at, which again is good that that's an option now, because it sounds like it wasn't an option before. But two, trying to figure out like levels, and there's drawings of stairs, and figuring out where all that stuff is, it gets a little confusing. But
before we go into the bar, I wanted to ask something, because I don't know if I have any of you seen like a Watcher underling in this complex? I've seen all the underlings of like Bang Bang Fire and
I think so. It wasn't until this section that I even really paid attention to them. Again, I thought last section it was like these same 5 get reincarnated, and that's the whole idea of it. So I do think I've seen, some of the underlings that have blue on them, as they're going to be the next Watcher.
Okay, right.
But yeah, I didn't really pay attention until this episode, when I realized of how the whole system of becoming one of the 5 and getting your role actually works.
Okay.
I will say I have seen them, and I will say nothing else.
Okay, cool.
Interesting.
Very
Interesting. We
interesting
do learn
point.
more about various older watchers in this section too. So stay tuned for that because it gets real wild. But I kind of like this idea of, you know, our watcher goes to the bar and is a little hesitant about meeting the new fixer, and I'm wondering if this
how he hates her at first.
yeah, exactly. I wonder if this just happens in general, and I think we do get a little bit of that later, talking to Nowhere and Nowhere's kind of relationship with the Watcher that happened before us. But this kind of, you know, Watcher and Fixer had a strong relationship, right? Whether that is romantic or not, we talked about that earlier, is ambiguous, but they had a strong connection regardless. And so now this other person is coming in and trying to take that role. You have a couple options of things that you can say, but one of the things, and it comes off a little kind of rough at first, or Watcher's like, don't try to be her, you're not her, and more meaning that like old Fixer's choices and responsibilities aren't yours to bear or anything like that. Like, you don't have to feel responsible for the Fixer before you and what they had done. You have to just be your own person. And I kind of like that kind of roller coaster of our Watcher going through, like, I hate this person because you're not my friend, but also that's not fair because my friend made choices, I made choices that got us to here today, and you have nothing to do with that whatsoever. So I really love that dynamic between those two characters.
Yeah, I also picked that option, and like you said, it does kind of come off as like a don't try to be her, but it's more
like, you're not her, you're not my friend that I had before. And it's like, whoa.
I'm curious if either of you two picked because the other option is bury the hatchet, which kind of implied to me that there was like a history between them or something.
Hatchet to bury.
Yeah, did either of you pick that?
I chose the same one as you guys.
Yeah, same. Not helpful.
Oh, I'll never know.
Yeah.
I'll never goog.
Which I took to try to choose the nicer option, which then was
not
nice
at all.
It seems like all of her tension was like, yeah, let's be nice with this person. You know, let's go there. And it was very rough at first. So I was like, oh, it was one of those things where I just assumed, like in most video games where they give you an option and then the dialogue is like nothing like you're I didn't mean that at all. I didn't mean that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that is interesting and not very clarified is because, I mean, everyone is ageless. So theoretically you could live forever, I assume. And like how frequently the positions open up, because there's only 6 positions, right?
Sure.
So like at any one time, and there's a bunch of apprentices who are trying to fill those positions. So it's like, how often does this actually happen, and how used to this happening are they, where they're like, is this a big deal? Is this just kind of like, oh, okay, another watcher, or like, oh, another fixer?
They seem
like,
almost numb to it.
I was under the assumption that maybe not frequently, but the idea of them talking about how like sisters will fall and crack their mask and then essentially die from breathing in the poisonous air because they don't have their immunity to the disease, that like felt like it happened enough, like more often than not, to be like, okay, we've seen a couple sisters come and go. I mean, Noah from this has told us how she's obviously older in the sense that she's been there for a while. She's seen people come and go too, so maybe not common, but at least common enough where it's like, this is not abnormal for these ceremonies to happen.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, if the reality is that, and this is the other thing, like if people are always dying around you, you become desensitized to that happening, even if you have like, because all these people have relationships with one another, obviously they're always interacting with one another, so like, sure, benefit of the doubt for the old fixer that like, okay, you're sad because your close friend who also had revolutionary ideology, like saying that things need to change, and you're like, I understand that there's a connection there, but at the same time you're like, she doesn't seem desensitized at all to losing fixer, even though everyone around her is constantly dying and getting replaced. And it's like, I felt like there needed to be more of a recognition of that, of like, you exist in a world in which everyone is the same and constantly getting replaced and dying, and you're like, I'm upset that you're replacing this person, and it's like, well, you know, that's your life.
Even if it happens, has happened frequently in this. I mean, Watcher, we don't know if this is the first time Watcher's experienced this, though. Like in Watcher's lifetime, because there's a Watcher that was before her that she came up with this role in. We don't know how frequently that's happened in her specific lifetime.
Well, the assumption is that there was at least a long period of time in which because they have to be an apprentice before they get selected. Yeah. So there's enough time that had passed where they were, you know, living in this. And once again, it gets very complicated because everyone is the same age and they never age. So it's like,
how old is
You
one
could
person
be a day
versus-
old. You could be
Exactly.
1,000 years old. It doesn't,
Right.
there's no difference in that space. It's just, it seemed like a weird reaction to be petty against a person having all of this experience of, because it's not, because the reality is that the position means nothing, right? It's
Sure.
it wasn't like, oh, I really like fixers. That's exciting to me. It's,
You
I
just
really
I
like this
that
person. So
fixer.
like,
Right.
why are you associating this person you care about with this role? Because it's like those two things are
Yeah.
separate.
It may
There's a
just
million
be-
of them. You can go walk
Sure.
around and talk to every fucking fixer that's out there.
It may be projecting too, because I don't know if this is necessarily, or me putting it and a feeling on to Watcher, but Watcher also is going through the struggle of feeling responsible for Fixer's death. So I wonder if that has anything to do with her emotions of feeling responsible for this too.
Well, that's what I was going to say is the thing that, so I didn't get to talk about this because I was on the first 2 chapters, but when Fixer makes that, or when Watcher makes that choice to betray Fixer, I said, I don't want to play this game. I hate this character. Because of course I could see their relationship. So I wouldn't, why would you do that? You clearly love her on some level. And so I was so mad. But then now playing through chapters 4 and 5, you go, oh, there is more there. This was, she felt betrayed. It wasn't just that she doesn't care. And there are more complex feelings. And I think the reason for the kind of flip-flopping is because Watcher doesn't know what she wants. Watcher doesn't know what to feel. It's kind of breaking the frame of what you perceive things. There's also, I have answers you don't, that I think also help explain this. I think as you play the game, you'll see more.
I mean, even without those future answers, I think that all of these people are indoctrinated into, the same thing that religions do, which is like, there's, you have to be honest, and you have to be, there's no going against mother, and et cetera, et cetera. So even if she loves Fixer with all of her heart, like, she's grown up or existed in a space in which, like, you have to be honest. There are no breaking the rules. There's severe punishment for doing so. And so that, I'm sure, plays a role in her. Like, well, I'm gonna have to turn this person in. That's my whole life is based around, watching people and snitching. That's my job.
Totally.
Being a fucking professional snitch. So
I had a Goog.
Okay.
It was very hard to find a video where someone picked
someone didn't pick the option that all of us picked as well.
And ultimately she ends up saying the same thing.
Okay,
yeah,
that's what it's
kind of lashing out and then pulling it back.
Yeah. And to the point where she says the exact same thing. It gets to the point where she's like, "You're not responsible for Fixer's actions. Like, just you be you."
And I mean, I didn't like this game.
I was
has
curious if it gave
absolutely
an inclination to like a pre-existing like reason. Was it this particular understudy, or was it just anyone who was a new Fixer? But,
Now during this bar scene is where kind of the climax moment happens here, where they get an occupant alert. An occupant is here, and from what we understand, is kind of attacking this facility that you're on. Chaos ensues as, again, we assume that an occupant has attacked. People are falling over. Clones are having their masks knocked off and everything. And when we come back to, we're next to Bang Bang Fire, who their whole job, we talked about that in the last episode. I love Bang Bang Fire, by the way. She's my favorite. But the whole job obviously is defense, right? Their role is to set up defense for this, and she's having issues of
they
guilt.
Did a terrible fucking job.
Yeah, because
basically the alert came too late was the problem. Like, and a lot of people died. A lot of sisters died. Through like pretty much through losing their masks. It didn't seem like an occupant did any physical damage to the sisters. It seemed like most of them died from
just like falling over and cracking their masks.
I mean, all of that. There's not a single one that we know died from an occupant. It seems like all of them died from panic.
And then you're in the underground area, the like kind of train stationy subway tunnel.
Because essentially the whole a lot of the areas have been locked down. Like the whole base is on, the garden's on lockdown while the occupants are here.
And then like you go into that room with the horse statue. I don't know if you guys came across that beforehand. And then Noah's just like, "Yo, I heard we got a commune, so like let's commune."
You're like, no. First Noah's like, "Isn't it crazy? I know everything, and I know nothing about this glass horse. Anyway, you want a commune?" And it's like, okay, cool.
It's so wild. Like I love Noah as a character because she's so matter of fact, right?
Oh,
nothing
absolutely.
faces her. She just knows things, and that's it. Facts are facts, and yet has this moment Kai pointed out of like, this horse. I know nothing about
I don't
it.
know anything
I don't know
about
a
this.
goddamn
This
thing
is
about
this
this
is nowhere
story.
coping with this situation that's
Well-
happening. Just trying to find some structure somewhere.
She's like, there's nothing in the archives. Like, we
Yeah.
don't know. And what did they eat? What did they do? Yeah.
It's
I remember
such
that.
a funny like idea too of having this like this vast pool of knowledge, and obviously this person's role is knowledge, is data collecting and everything, and then
Mm.
a horse is the one thing they don't have any information about whatsoever, which is just kind of funny.
It also kind of set up like the character, because I mean I'd spoke to Noah a little bit in the previous chapters, but I think it kind of set the tone for like just how jaded Noah is of like
for sure.
existing in this communion now, the commune.
Well,
Like,
not only that, I mean, from the last episode, it kind of seemed, and then obviously the beginning of this, that Knower and Healer both have more or less information that we don't. They know things that are happening. Healer did not seem surprised by some
the
of the
longest
stuff that we saw in
serving,
the
right?
communion. Sorry?
Outside of Principal, I think they're the longest serving. Like Fixer and
Yeah.
Watcher were both quite new.
Yeah.
And so was Bang Bang Fire.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. I don't know about you. I didn't immediately commune. I went and spoke to all the
I wandered around. You could just see the fixer that was going to be new Fixer died from this essentially. So
Rip.
they got their mask destroyed, and I kind of like this because Healer's standing above a lot of these dead sisters, and you get the raw emotion from Watcher that's like, I'm gonna kill all of these. And remember, I don't know why I made this connection, but it reminded me of Attack on Titan, where Aaron just like, I'm gonna kill
Big
all
Eren
the
Yeager
Titans
energy,
because
yeah.
big Eren Yeager, which I don't know if that is if Watcher has the same outcome as Aaron. We'll see how that goes. But Healer being like, this is
that expression.
this is the emotion I wanted from you. I didn't want you to just kind of be like this pawn in this show that's just doing what you're supposed to be told. We need some emotion. But she's like, we need to calm down a little bit, right?
We're still recovering. Yeah,
exactly. We need to collect ourselves. I appreciate you having emotions. That's what I wanted you to have in the first place. But we need to run it back a little bit, though. But you could see Watcher really being like, "Oh, I'm going to kill all of these occupants for hurting my sisters,"
which is also wild, right? Because my understanding is Watcher's entire function and what they've spent their entire life doing is observing. Yes. So, like, I don't know what combat training they.
I'm gonna observe you.
Like,
so I'm gonna observe you till you die. I'm gonna watch you.
I'm gonna observe you till you. Well, we
find out.
I was like, oh yeah, actually,
successfully carry a kill later on. So you know,
that's very true.
That's true. So the communion with Knower is interesting. We've more or less in all of the communions we've done before have been in Iris's memories, more or less, whether it's the school, whether it's the city, it's some aspect of Iris memory. And this time we're in this cave system, and the whole communion kind of takes place in this various cave systems that have aspects of Iris's previous memories intertwined into them. We see characters that showed up in the school. We see characters that showed up in different parts of Iris's memories kind of commingling in here. I don't know. What was your guys' kind of first impression to this? Because this is very different than the communities that we had experienced prior to this.
First impression, I was kind of like, what the fuck is happening? And I think that was kind of my feeling through most of it. You slowly unravel what's happening, and I think, to be honest, not as the player, but I guess like put myself in Watcher's shoes, I was kind of pissed off at Noah because Noah was like so nonchalant, like basically you don't end up in this communion, you end up in this like weird like sub communion that you're not supposed to be in, and Noah is just very like, yeah, it is what it is, like, and then she's like,
I've never been here before, but
yeah, she's like,
whatever.
Like, I guess, like, I wonder if you can talk with the occupants, and then that kind of becomes the whole thing. So at first I was very like unsure, and I think even to this moment I don't fully understand how we ended up where we was and kind of what led to it. It almost seemed like a mistake, but I might be remembering
not to do spoilers for this section, but we learned that the gift that the occupants gave Iris was the secretary, which is what allows the
communions
to happen, and they are in control of what gets shown, or in some combination of the occupants and Iris are in control
to...
of what gets shown. So it's what the occupants wanted Watcher to see, essentially, or what her secretary wanted her to see.
I mean, even through all of this, as we're going through the cave, there's the whole like ring system that makes up the occupant's head, essentially, right? They're a big disembodied, they're a body with no head in the ring. That symbolism is everywhere. It's
technically that's their body.
Yeah, they made
the
human body.
You're right.
For some reason.
Well, the interesting thing here is also like, so we find out that Iris was actually talking to the occupants, that there was some bartering happening. We will find out in the next chapter that Iris actually has one of their halos, like a ring of some kind of her own. But like what's really interesting here also is that the mixed memories feel like this jumble of information that then coalesces in you being able to communicate with the occupants. I was really proud that after a year and a half I still remembered what went with what after like,
oh really, that's funny.
It's very poetic. Like if you listen to part 1, you can kind of figure out what part 2 is most of the time, but I do remember not even doing it on the first try the first time through, but I guess I remembered vaguely.
I didn't know you could choose wrong options.
So you
only until the very last one I was just like, okay, this is fucking stupid, I'm tired, and I just clicked a random one and it sent me back, and I was like, wait, you can click wrong options, and then I realized that it's like, oh, you could do this. I was just guessing. Luckily,
that's so funny because I felt like I saw this a puzzle. I felt smart because I was like, you got to do them in the order they show up. Memory 1, 2, 3. That's the order you got to. And I was like, oh, I figured it out. I figured out the puzzle.
I was going thematically.
Yeah, it's just like word games.
I was just going, it's literally in order. It's like the first thing in the first memory, the second one in the second memory, the third one, and that's the order that you do them in.
Didn't even.
I wasn't even doing the context. I was doing the order in which I saw them. Interesting.
No, I was doing like thematic. So like they said something about wings. So I was like, oh yeah, the thing about pigeons.
That's I didn't even think about that. Not once did I think about actually reading the words that were on the screen.
Yeah, like a lot of its sections in this game, they do a thing just a little too long
for you.
It's like cool, great thing that you're doing here, very fun, and then it's like, okay, and then we're gonna do it for way longer than
3 times.
Okay. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I think that
keep doing this.
I think unquestionably the writing and the story is really interesting, but the mechanics of getting through it is sometimes harder. I will say, so did you guys talk about what the actual disease does in the first episode? Like how
water from your eyes,
all your juices.
The idea that you cry, the way it works is you cry out all of the fluid in your body till you die is just like we never see it happen. The closest is the large image of Zhao crying towards the end. But like just thinking about that and like the little bits of descriptions we get from like the military guy at one point during this is so horrific to me. It's like, but to do it in a way that doesn't always feel horrific because you don't show it. It's not grotesque. It's not for the violence of it is interesting to me. This obviously was made during the pandemic. They wrote the story and created it during the pandemic, which I think is really interesting. But like that huge like image distortion of Zhao cry, like because there's a moment here which you haven't said yet. You see a lot of other story stuff, and then when the realization the first time that that secretary was a gift from the occupant, we also then get to be an occupant chasing Zhao the night Zhao dies and or gets hospitalized, and it's horrifying. Like even just the small moments, just looking down on her running, pleading for Iris, who is nowhere to be found. It's just so interesting. And then the moment of violence when Watcher strikes out against Secretary, who apparently has no memory of anything. Like apparently as a gift to Iris was also wiped of its memory. It's just basically a robot to function, right? Like an android that had memory wiped. And like to watch Watcher strike out so violently against the secretary after like the first hint of this is when she's lashing out against Healer, but then to get this moment, like I felt it felt very visceral as the child playing secretary like is like basically screaming from pain of being ripped apart. It was just so interesting and unlike anything we had up until this moment.
Yeah, well, like you were saying, I mean, even though Watcher kind of conveyed this violent tendency before when she was talking to Healer, we get to see it here, and as she's slamming the secretary over and over again into the ground, and ultimately splitting it in half, you get to see that like very violent nature that is, I mean, Watcher's frustrated, she's confused, she doesn't understand what's happening. The whole idea of these occupants were these bad things that are causing all of these problems, and so lashing out against that is kind of the only thing that's left for her to do. And it's this whole like the whole vibe of this section is very eerie. Like going through and talking to all of like the memories that aren't supposed to be there. I was like, this is a horror game. This is kind of scary. This is creepy.
And is this the communion, right? Where one, we learn that Secretary was an occupant, like you said.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I feel like we also learned that the occupants were involved in everyone in the facility dying when Iris originally came.
Iris was like, kill them all.
Iris is responsible.
Yeah, on the front run of that, Iris is the one that ended up killing everybody.
Yeah, because she was fed up.
So, but I thought she made a bargain with the occupants. Am I misremembering?
Yeah, I mean, she essentially asks them to kill everybody. That's the thing.
They make an exchange so they can communicate because she's immune, and then she asks them to kill everybody because she wasn't kidnapped. She agreed to go with the military. We also find out when hearing the stuff from her mom. But she's tired of how they treat her because while she agreed to go, she didn't agree to be dissected, basically.
She's an experiment. They experiment on her over and over again and were cloning her to try to replicate this immunity, and she was tired of it. And
that's the bit that like Iris is talking to the soldier guy, and he's like trying to explain this for the greater good, and you know, we have to keep doing what we're doing. And there's a lot of comments of like Iris noticing her clones walking around. And like not liking seeing herself when it's not actually herself, and this kind of like, which is like really ironic because she ended up making
just having a whole like world of herself. Yeah. So the other thing too, which I maybe don't have full context on or miss something too, is we maybe get some of the history with the occupants. There's a whole section where there's like these two big balls of energy planets, more or less, and it kind of seemed like, to my understanding, that the occupants were from another planet and something was happening to their planet, whether it was going to collide with something else, so they came here. Is that kind of what did anyone else get
so
that
it's
kind
not explicitly stated. It's
okay.
At one point when you talk to Noah, she says it's unclear if they fled or chose here or what, but they came to this planet with a purpose.
I think I mean, I don't remember exactly. I think it is stated in the story that, like, if you talk to Noah in the time jumps with the planets, like their solar system collapses. That's like they have two stars. They come from a place with two stars. We have the one. It falls apart. Essentially, they have to flee. They find Earth as a place to essentially call home, and then they decide to like form the human bodies as like a facsimile to the people who occupied Earth before they arrived, etc., etc.
And in a way too, it's funny, you can ask Noah, do you think they did this to mock us? To, like, she asked, why do you think they did this? And you can say, to mock us, to be like us, whatever. And there's no right answer. Like, Noah doesn't know, but it is curious to think about, like, did they do this to try and communicate with people? Because to this point, we don't know why they didn't communicate. We just know they can't talk to us for some reason until we get through this. And they do have a way of talking, but it's not linearly like humans talk.
There was also kind of, oh, sorry, Ben, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, like, is the assumption, or like, do we know the occupants brought this disease with them, or is this something that was like on? Because I don't remember explicitly finding out.
So that's what I was going to get to. Not necessarily an answer for that, but either through talking to Noah or some of the context, there was a lot of conversation around, again, the very Thanos idea of there being too many people, not enough resources, and killing half of the people. So I don't know if that was specifically what the occupants came. They came here and they realized that this planet is too overpopulated, there's not enough resources, so we're going to create this disease that's going to kill half of them, and some of them will be immune, or maybe most of them. Because I mean, from our understanding, we don't know much outside of the garden and the world around it, but obviously Iris and all of the clones are the only characters that we get to see and interact with. We don't know the state of the rest of the world at this point of the game too, so we don't know if it was half, if they killed most of them, or...
So I will say that as of now, all we know is that Iris is immune and nothing else. Everyone else dies. And as of now, and I will say the game does tell you more about the virus and why it happens. So I won't say here, but you do get those answers, but you don't have them here.
It's just that at the minute, there's a lot of like, well, like, was the barter because there was an illness that was already there and the occupants knew kind of like how to make Iris immune, or was it because like did they bring it with them? Is it an alien illness or something? Like, in a minute, we don't really know.
Yeah, I really like the reveal of the secretary being a gift from the occupants too. Like, I was kind of like, it was kind of being hinted at as you're going through, and then as you finally get to the section where it's the big open water with all the guards and the occupants standing there with like something that looks very much like secretary, you kind of realize that the secretary is an occupant, and that was a cool kind of reveal,
or
there.
At least a gift from the occupant,
or at least a gift from the occupant.
And it seems to be, at least in what I got, like a gift in order to be able to communicate with the occupants, because like we're not actually the ones talking with them. Like the secretary goes to this occupant and then we're able to understand what it says.
What you're learning here is that communion is how they communicate, basically, among other, like one of the ways they communicate, at least, is they have this technology they can give to the human to communicate with them.
And now
talking.
Oh,
sorry. I was going to say, interestingly, the other thing we learn is that the symbols that we can zip to in the communions is the same halo and stuff that's on the occupants.
Okay, more zipping. I know you loved that the first section. It was fun. I didn't have a problem with it.
It took me like 4 minutes to work out how to escape this fucking scene in chapter 5.
There's literally a line. You just follow it.
How is it?
No. Are we talking about different? So like, there's like in this bit, you just follow the line, right? And then you get to, that's when you get to the scene where Iris basically.
You're talking about after the chapter.
Yeah, I'm talking chapter 5.
Okay,
I did the same thing.
Okay. That one's more justifiable because I also was a little bit confused. But this one, I was like, just follow the things, dog.
More zipping around. So exciting.
But here we kind of get the understanding that Nowhere either knows most of this or is either privy to a lot of this that's happening, because this is where she gives us a little context about the Watcher before, and the Watcher before also is learning this information and is now similar to our Watchers, struggling with this idea of what Allmother was telling us versus what we're actually learning. And Nowhere's like, you can't do anything about it. We got to the Allmother is the one that's responsible. She can take away immunity at any point. She can give people immunity. We got to just live with these decisions and be okay with it. The last Watcher died, and look, nothing happened is what she's saying. Nothing came from this. Nothing has changed from Watcher trying to essentially make a difference or do the right thing. And again, between Healer and Nowhere, like you said, they're kind of the oldest versions of themselves. We see that they more or less knew these things were happening in the first place.
But it's also interesting because, sorry, Matt, it's also interesting because, like, for me, there was like a lot of reflections of like, like when you talk to somebody and they're like, oh, like, but what can I do? Like, what change can I bring? And it's like, but like, it's the, like everyone pulling together can make it's individuals aren't necessarily going to be able to kind of incite that amount of change.
What's the classic argument also from people in, let's say, a certain position in life of, are you not clothed? Are you not fed? Like, these are things that Noah said. Like, you have everything you could need to live a life. Why does it matter? And Watcher is a classic different position of a revolutionary type of like, but that's not enough. If people are dying, if things are still going wrong, that's not enough. And so it's interesting to see that dichotomy of like someone who is taken care of, has a good life, likes their life, says, well, why fight? We're fine. We're safe. And it's so interesting to hear Nowhere put it that way.
I mean, yes and no. I think they're radicalized by the fact that everyone around them, their lives are incredibly fragile based on cracking a glass mask, which seems like a terrible
it's just made of sugar glass, like a
they're like, I don't know why they don't figure out a stronger material to make their masks out of. But
Nowhere says that too. Like, you're masked, you can survive, you have food, you have shelter, right? But
that's
of course.
I love the ending conversation between those two right before this chapter ends, is Watcher saying like, what am I living for? And Nowhere says, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter what you're living for. You just be happy that you're living.
And I mean, I think the problem with Nowhere versus the Watcher's responsibility is like Knower is incentivized to stay themselves as long as possible, because ultimately knowledge is an individualistic thing. Like knowledge can't be shared in the same way that like a communion can happen, right? So like the longer Knower exists in their role, the more they know and the more information they can like process and understand. And so it's like that's logical why Knower is like either there's a scene in this where they're talking and essentially Knower says like, well, the train has come for me a bunch of times and I just ignore it, and like it comes every once in a while and I just don't take it, because like the entire purpose is accessing and understanding knowledge and trying to process it. So like why would you start from the beginning again? Like knowledge is stored in a single person. Like obviously they have the library, but that's someone still has to technically read that information to understand it, right? Whereas Watcher is like, she just gets to see all the dumb shit that her god is doing and is like, this person's fucking awful, which is one of my main criticisms of the game. Is like Iris is not a nuanced character whatsoever. It's just pure evil personified onto a young Asian woman, which is like cool, great, but like there's no nuance in that character. She's just kind of a dick who has a god complex and then is God. That's the end of the
but I think that's like, for me, that's like kind of the point though, right? It's like we get to see all the terrible stuff that Iris has done, but that's what creates the conflict with Watcher. Is it at every point contradicts what Allmother has been saying and doing.
The problem with that perspective is that there's an entire society built on like, even like if you look at religious text, right? Like in the Bible, like God is not presented as like, well, he's a really terrible person who does a bunch of terrible things. I mean, Old Testament is kind of like that, but New Testament, there's at least a little bit of a swing. But it's like, there are things that are beneficial that God does, right? Like it offers you like, this thing to believe in that is omnipotent and beneficial and gives me all these things, where this entire world is like, you have a shitty mom who makes you sick and die if you break your mask and has the power to make you immune if she wanted to. And she's selfish and she, in all of your memories, does terrible shit and treats people terribly and talks to people terribly and kills everyone. But we're still going to worship her, and our entire society.
But you're the only one that knows that. No one else
knows. But only the Watcher knows that.
That's
only
not true.
Watcher knows that. No, only Watcher can see those things she can share, and only one other pillar can communion with her.
But we know that Knower knows this already, because Knower has already been through a bunch of communions. All of these people have been through communions,
specific communions, specific sections of communions, and so it depends on how much knowledge they're showing. But the other thing I will say at this point is you're only on chapter 4.
That's true.
And the game is 10 chapters, I believe. So
well, we're on chapter 5, but
right.
I think
we're halfway through.
Well, this particular part is we're still talking about what happens in chapter 4. All I'm saying is that as far as Iris's character goes, you still have 6 more chapters to go, 5 more chapters to go. So there will be more information given. But to Kai's point, at this point, it does seem why like Watcher's rage is justified. If you know all this, Watcher's rage is justified. Iris is a terrible person. Why would you worship this person?
Our very first scene is us stabbing Iris. That's the very first thing that we get to see.
That's in media res, so you get to see that as the player. Yes,
right.
Yeah, but what I was going to say though is like, I think there's a really important distinction to be made in that Iris is not a god. She is a human who is being worshipped like a god, right? Yeah. Like, so she has this immunity, but like when you look at it, I mean, she kind of had this weight of saving mankind placed on her because she was immune. She saw her best friend die from this illness.
She was some kind of like powers though, right? She could take away people's immunity and at any point.
She can take away the clone's immunity specifically.
Yeah.
That's what I think I'm trying to get at though, is like there is a nuance to it because, she was essentially experimented on. She had this like weight of humanity placed on her shoulders. And I think is that although she is like a god, it's a little bit different to her being a god.
Sure, I mean gods don't exist, so hate to break it to you. That's not a thing.
Like if we go off of like the Christian god, like right, this like omnipotent being who can like
Sure.
create and take away and everything like that. Like the only thing that we know is that Iris is a human who has developed an immunity to a disease. I don't even personally, at the end of this, I don't even think she's the one who took away their immunity. I don't think she has the power to do that. I think the occupants involved in taking away the immunity.
Oh, interesting.
I don't.
I mean,
think
especially if we're under the
we had a
assumption
whole
that
story where it says she took away the immunity, but I
yeah, but
guess
who told
that's what they
us
said.
that she took away? Exactly. This is what I think. What I'm trying to say is like what we know is based off of what we're being told by the clones who are being told by the Allmother. This is what happens.
Especially if they're the ones that created the disease in the first place.
They have also questioned in previous chapters, why is Iris showing us this? Why, like the good and the bad? If Iris is showing us this, why? Right? The Watchers don't even know why they're learning this. That's just their job, is to watch and learn. And
now we know
don't.
it's not the Irish.
And like if you were an all powerful god, why would you share the bad stuff, right? And so
well, I mean,
interesting.
you share the bad stuff to control through fear, right?
Well, that's
if you believe that, I mean, obviously there's dissent, and there has been people who have gone against the Allmother before, so you have to use the fact that you are all powerful and have full control over their existence as a mechanism to put them in line. Fear is a powerful motivator. It's a more powerful motivator than kindness.
I think it's a personally for me. I think it's a Wizard of Oz thing, right? And I think Chapter 5 is we've pulled back the curtain now.
Yeah,
like, we're seeing how the sausage is made, and like we're this will be the tipping point. So are we okay? Is everyone okay to go into Chapter 5?
Yeah. Let's start Chapter 5, which does start at the train station, like how it started in the beginning, and Watcher is there, kind of replaying through those memories of Fixer when Fixer had left. It's not the exact same conversation. Watcher is kind of saying different things, but Fixer is responding how Fixer responded in that very first section. And the train does come, and Watcher gets on the train. So I don't know if it was called for her, because in my assumption before, it always seemed like the train calls for you and then you get on it. So this must have been called for Watcher, right?
Well, Noah does say that she didn't get on the train when she was supposed to, and that it does come every so often. And so it's possible also that she just waited, knowing that the train comes every so often for Noah, and Noah never gets on.
Yeah, okay. Well, Noah's also there.
Well,
you see Noah there when the train leaves.
Watcher shows up to Iris. Iris says, like, what are you doing here, essentially? Like, why are you disrupting this? She knows that she's not supposed to be there. So, like, clearly she either got on. It's not her train. She either got on
someone else's
Noah's train, or the trains run on a schedule that you can just go and
you just jump on whatever you want to come see your god, essentially. But this is the intro scene. This is the intro scene that we got, where Watcher's standing there. We know that piece of glass now is a piece literally of Secretary that she had broken into pieces, and stabs Iris in the back as before. But the difference is when this happens, another train pulls up, and we see Principal also walk out. And we're like confused why Principal's there and everything. And as Iris and Principal are talking, and this is a little bit of the context, is Iris hasn't realized how much time has passed. Iris thought that it was just like a couple minutes or a couple seconds or whatever, not 1,000 years. The also big reveals, we find out Principal was the youngest, is the original Watcher from the beginning that we had seen in that memory, or that you want to say conclave? It's not conclave.
Communion.
The one that created the Zhao
that created the Zhao clone originally. So that's a big reveal first and foremost. But when that happens, Iris says, "Oh, Watcher, you were just, or youngest, you were just here," and the youngest says, "No, it's been 1,000 years." And we don't really know the context of that just yet, but just that we're talking about, right, Iris's motivation and all this different stuff. From Iris's point of view, from this, no time has passed. There has been no time to kind of sit on your decisions and sit all these, there has been no time that has literally passed at all, which may lead to more of Iris's decisions, or decisions to intervene or not intervene or whatever.
Also, the perception of time is not a real thing. Like, we perceive time differently throughout our lives as we experience more life. Time seems to move more quickly. If you're immortal, your perception of time doesn't matter.
Very
Yeah.
true. And
So,
if she's been immortal for a while now, like
our
the
interpretation of what 1,000 years is seems really long because we're not immortal. We have,
Right.
if we're lucky, 70 to 100 years to exist. If you're immortal, 1,000 years is like, oh, I guess it's been 1,000. Like, it feels like a couple minutes. It's 1,000 years. Like, who fucking knows? Like, if she's been alive for 4,000 years, it's like
time, you start to lose time at that point.
Yeah, so, like there is no measure of time.
So Iris stabs
Watcher
stabs Iris, and then Principal comes along and basically calls down these sisters.
That's what I would ask. Who are these people?
You don't know.
Great question.
Okay, I'm glad I was make sure I wasn't missing anything. I wasn't making sure that like I missed some context or something.
What's clear here is what I think is really interesting is so right before Iris dies, she goes, "Youngest, I've missed you," and then dies. And then you are, Youngest announces, I guess, over the PA or whatever she uses to control the flow of information, since she's basically the leader. Watchers killed the Allmother. Sisters, please bring her in. And you're surrounded by all of these other sisters wearing all black, and you don't know who they are. You will find out.
I'm assuming they're the sisters that have been called forth to go to Allmother from, like it's like they take the train.
It's interesting. I don't think that. I think that much like the Pope, Allmother is a title. I think that there have been multiple Allmothers, and these sisters are the previous Allmothers.
I won't comment. All I will
you're
say,
wrong.
I won't comment.
You're wrong.
What I will say is that you will find out in the next chapter more information. But all we know is that the principal is in charge of all of these sisters and calls them to bring the Watcher in to be arrested.
Basically. What I'm interested in too is, I guess we don't have like a clear indication of like a rules with this, but the understanding obviously is there's the 6 that have like their jobs, and there's one of them at a time. And when one of them dies and someone else moves up, there's nothing saying that like 2 can't operate at once. That's just how the rules have gone. But Youngest is a Watcher. So Principal is a Watcher originally. I don't know if her title changed when
it did. So the Principal is the president of all of them. I guess she is above all the titles. She is but we don't know how she became Principal.
Right. Well, Iris told her originally that she's now tasked with creating clones indefinitely, and that was her punishment for creating a clone now too, until she got perfection, until she got the perfect one.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, she didn't die. That did happen. Yeah. She killed Zhao.
Stabbing an evil dictator. Pretty perfect in my
Well, kind of again, it seemed like that was her plan from the Principal's plan from the beginning, is create someone that would see enough of this to do something about it. Because we also learned that the Watcher before, what happened was through seeing all this, she ended up killing herself.
Yes,
she killed herself. She couldn't take it at all, and like that. So that's essentially what Principal is, from what we know now, is trying to do, is trying to find someone that would see all this and take action from seeing it too. So, but yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to talk about how we leave this weird little circle.
So I was going to say that. I was going to talk about how to give Kai some validation, even playing it for the second or third time. I ran in that circle for a good 5 minutes, not being able to figure out what to do because you have to look up, and the game gives you zero.
Oh, I didn't realize
reason to look up.
I just did. I ran towards one of the doors and I just kind of panned the camera up, and then it just like changed. I was in there for like 30 seconds. Like, not
the
even
fact that it makes you do the stupid zoom thing. I mean, sure, yes, it doesn't. I also ran around the circle, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Trying to like open. They gave you a bunch of doors, so I was like, okay, one of these doors must work.
Yeah.
I just once again, one zoom section, fine. Okay, I can handle the weird, pointless, non-mechanic of zooming, but like to make it continue through the whole, at least first 5 chapters, it's just like, it's not that good. Did someone not play this and go, this is pointless, we should probably remove 90%
last time. Gravity Rush is essentially this, and Gravity Rush is fun. I love zooming around and messing with gravity.
I do agree with you, Kai.
Thank you.
However,
oh fuck.
No, I agree with you that I think, hear me out. The only reason I can think that this is in the game as much as it is because it's thematic.
No, absolutely, I think so
If
too.
it's not mechanic, yeah, but
But to Kai's point, that doesn't make it more like fun and worth it.
No, I'm not saying it's not fun.
I will say there are far more worse mechanics in video games than this mechanic. It's a nothing burger, basically. It's like
first of all, that's a horrible argument. Yes, of course. There's more dog shit stuff than this, but in a game that's already annoying to play, to have this mechanic keep coming up that doesn't.
I
This
is
is a
not
walking
having a
sim.
great time.
There's literally no like. It is essentially a novel in a video game form that you experience, which like can be done well. And I've played good games like that. Like What Remains of Edith Finch is a perfect example of that being done incredibly well. This is a really bad version of that. This is just like, we don't really know how to make a video game. We don't really know what we're doing. We have an idea of a story. We're going to throw you in this, but like, there's not much to do. The interactions are clunky. The gameplay doesn't make a lot of sense. And then you just have these stupid fucking Zoom sections, which clearly someone was like, we're making a video game. And it's like, we got to do something video game. And it's like, no, it doesn't add anything. It doesn't make the experience better. I'd rather just walk than have to find these stupid fucking floating circles. But anyway.
I mean, again, while I don't feel as inconvenienced, I do agree. I don't think they add anything to the visual novel elements of it. I think if it were just narrative with no mechanics and just talking, it would be more streamlined for sure. I can't argue that.
What if they were like puzzle based, Kai? What if there was like a nuance?
Or what if they were? I
yeah,
mean,
okay. If there was a challenge, or they were puzzle based, or they moved, or there was some like dynamic element that was exciting and challenging and actually fun to engage with, of course that would be better. We don't have that.
I was going to use Danganronpa as an example because it's a visual novel, but you're also pointing a cursor and pointing and shooting things in Danganronpa because you're hitting text with a cursor that's on the screen, so it's more or less the same.
But there's a challenge to that. It's once again, Danganronpa has a lot more going for it than, once again, in a sea of good in Danganronpa, a bad mechanic stands out and you're like, oh, whatever, this game is actually fun. In this game, I'm already not having a good time, and then there's this annoying mechanic that keeps fucking popping up, and I'm like, okay, well,
that's
great.
Understandable. But see, that's how I feel about, you choose Danganronpa example, where most of this, 99% of this, I'm having a good time, so the zippy things, even if they're not like add anything, don't really do much for me. It's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever.
I will say, I genuinely thought, because there is essentially like a bunch of doors these sisters step out of. I thought I had to run between the doors, but
that's what I thought.
Or jump.
I can see how spending more than
slowly. You can't run. You can't sprint.
I can see how spending more than 2 seconds in this would be frustrating, because I just immediately had looked up after I hit the wall and then zoomed out of there.
She does have a bad running animation, but she is very caked up. So it's like,
she's only caked up when she's running.
That's true.
Aren't we all?
No, I'm never caked up. I have anti-cake. But
Kai has negative butt.
I do. Truly atrocious.
Nah, man, I've seen how long you're on the Stairmaster. You have to have some ass
nothing changed. No, nothing happened. It's just really strong. It's really strong and flat.
It's like a brick wall.
Anyway, yes, we escaped.
You do look up and escape through an occupant.
I thought this was the end of the game, and I got really excited. But then it just,
really excited.
It just goes. So, yeah, I was like, oh, we did it. I was like, it's only 2 episodes. I was like, this game is wild.
I mean, it
doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Chapters. Oh, 2 episodes in general of the whole game.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. It's
I love I'm a sucker for meta narrative twists.
Oh yeah,
like mouthwashing, going back to the title screen, or not mouthwashing. Signalis, I think, goes back to the title screen when you play it. Like doing that, and then it's all covered in blood, and then you go back into the game. And so interesting for me, because I wasn't really saving my progress because I was just playing the individual chapters. When I hit continue, I was like, oh wait, is it going to take me to my continue of my original save, my manual save, or the auto save? But then it took me to the auto save, because you end up in this red colored version of the garden with stuff underwater. And I went, oh, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
We don't know. I didn't go back in. I stopped at main menu.
Well, it's interesting because you get the reason I stopped is because you get the achievement. This is chapter 5.
Yeah, you get the achievement for completing chapter 5. That's why I was also confused.
So I was like, okay, so I stopped playing, and then you escape. Like, you leave the one menu that comes up. That's the red menu, and then it just shows you a still image of the like statue covered in blood and you, and then goes to the exact same menu in white. And I'm like, you have to escape twice. I have to exit game.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was confused because I was like, I got the achievement, but after every chapter we get a save. We didn't get a save, so I was confused. So I was trying to look it up, and it took me forever to figure out. I was like, is this chapter 6? Is this still chapter 5? And I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll just play it. And this section is chapter 5. After this, you do get a, do you want to save? End of chapter 5 happens, you do get that at the very end too. So
Well,
this
hopefully I don't have to do this again because I just left. So
it auto saves. So I checked when it cuts the title screen and you go into the game. If you check your auto saves, the auto save is you in front of the blood red statue.
Okay.
It brings you back in, but there is a little more of a section here before you actually.
So you stopped after that. You didn't play this.
I think both me and Ben did.
Okay.
Yeah, I went back to main menu and then I stopped.
There's a tiny bit more narrative after this part, and then it goes into chapter 6.
I did think it was weird that we didn't get the chapter 5 achievement, but I just thought maybe there wasn't one for some reason.
I got the achievement.
I got the achievement. That's what made me stop playing. It just popped up, and I was like, well, all right.
It just didn't say this is the end of chapter 5. Do you want to say or whatever? Yeah.
That's what I was
like Matt was saying, we are running around a very red version of the garden going through here, and there is. I was like, we don't have to talk about this if you don't want to talk about it.
I mean, if the two of them haven't played it, you should roll it into the next episode.
Okay, that's fine. We can have it be part of the next episode. That's perfectly fine. And then a beautiful little cliffhanger here. I mean, like Matt was saying, there's some narrative, but there's not. You experience the bulk. There's not much narrative that happens here.
There's a couple more conversations you have, basically.
Yes. A couple more, but okay, well that's fine. Hey, look at that nice little cliffhanger for the next episode here. But yeah, like we always do, why don't we go around for the three of us here and, give a quick synopsis of how we're feeling about the game up to this point. Benji, I'm going to start with you this time. How you feeling? We're essentially, for our episode breakdown, we're halfway through at this point too.
I'm feeling better about the game this leg. I think I said like the overarching theme was I was cautiously optimistic after the first leg. I think I'm getting to the point where I've kind of accepted that what's going to happen is we're going to get an info dump at some point. We're going to get a massive fucking lore dump, and all of a sudden it's going to be a Kojima thing where all of a sudden shit starts making sense and it starts falling into place. And I'm like, okay,
dots and everything. Yeah.
There are so many unanswered questions, right? Like, why was it her immunity that made the occupants choose the Allmother to communicate with? Why is it that I still don't think she had the power to take the immunity away. I don't think. I think that this is going to be some kind of like, to me, I'm like, she's like a puppet or something. Like, I don't think she has the powers that she's claiming to have. The section with the occupants was interesting. It didn't feel too tedious, but I was going to say there's a better way they could have done it, but I can't come up with a suggestion.
I didn't like it, but I don't know how they can fix it.
Yeah, I don't think it was too tedious, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't really overstay its welcome too much. It did come the third time. I was a little bit like, okay, right, this is getting a bit repetitive now. I do think I'm enjoying the story, though. I think I'm enjoying, like, trying to piece together these. It's almost like I'm doing like 100-piece puzzle and I've got like 60 pieces. Do you know, like, and I'm trying to
you have the borders now, and you're like, man, I need to get this middle part.
Yeah, like I'm slowly like getting there. Starting to understand like how, like, I still don't understand really why we had an occupant alert, like what it is about them, because it kind of almost just seemed like, and I think this is kind of where I'm landing, it was a fear tactic. I personally wouldn't be surprised if we found out further down the line there was never actually an occupant, and that the Allmother has some sort of way of triggering an alert of there being an occupant to instill this fear into the sisters to kind of keep them obedient and to kind of keep them following her. I'm intrigued. I am intrigued. I think mechanically it is rough. It is rough. It is essentially just kind of like a walking sim, but it feels like a very long, drawn out walking sim. But personally, I'm enjoying the story and the themes enough that is kind of keeping me going. I'm expecting either the next leg or the last leg is gonna be some sort of lore dump.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to put it out there, I do think it's some kind of Wizard of Oz shit. I don't think the Allmother
Someone's
is
behind a
powerful.
curtain with like a crank that's like controlling all of
Yeah, I don't think Allmother's powerful. I don't think that she is this kind of god figure that she's being made out to be. So I'm interested to see where that goes for sure.
Yeah. Kai, what say you?
I'm going.
I'm allowed to be last. That is my pick.
Matt doesn't get to give their
Matt's
opinion.
finished the game already.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this game?
He just doesn't want to shit on it. That's the.
Yeah, I just wanted to postpone this as long as possible. It's fine. I get what they're trying to do. It feels a lot like reading a amateur writer who tends like a lot of amateur writers tend to overwrite. They're like a lot of erroneous detail, a lot of like interflicting pieces of narrative, a lot of things, and like they needed to cut a lot out of this. Like if I was the book editor for their video game and I was giving them editing notes, I'd be like, you need to pare down what you're trying to do, especially as like maybe you can tackle all the things they're trying to tackle, at least in the first 5 chapters of this game, as like a veteran indie developer who's got some wins under your belt. And like clearly there's some promise here as far as like an ability to craft an interesting world, but they can't seem to get a grip on how to tell it in a way that is like engaging enough, simple enough, clear enough. Like, and I get that the ambiguity is kind of part of the experience, but that is overdone to a point in which it's kind of just like amateurish and naive and misplaced and clunky. And I complained about even like the environmental design last time, like that the problems there, the mismatching of like textures and palettes and lighting, and it's just like a lot of that stuff is just present throughout every section of this game, where it's just like feels thrown together. The voice acting is fine. Like I get that they were trying to do some fun stuff with having friends do voice acting and whatever. Like it doesn't detract that much, but it would have benefited from some stronger performances. I think the story is getting a little more interesting. Obviously things are actually happening in this section. There's like momentum and we've made it to the opening of the game. So in that way, like it is a little bit more engaging. I'm still, unanswered questions, which I'm assuming, as you said, will get answered in the next sections. Like if she made a deal with the occupants, why are the occupants attacking the clones? Maybe that says that, the occupants know that Principal is doing something bad and trying to build up an army of like against, yada, yada. Who knows what the fucking right now, there's not enough information to make an educated guess on what the actual, twist is going to be. Obviously there's going to be some sort of a twist. But yeah, like, I get why people like it. Like it does, my name for the last episode was I'm 14 and this is deep, and it has a lot of that like, facade of the things that indie games do well, of like, ooh, we're doing themes and we're like 2020 and masks, and I also really fucking hate
I didn't put that together. That's crazy. You're right.
That's crazy that you didn't put that together. And like whatever you want to say about COVID, it was a time period we all existed through.
Yeah.
Very rarely does someone tackle COVID in a way that is like interesting outside. Like there's a lot of media that came out of the pandemic that was very pandemic based and very like, ooh, mass. And I want to make a commentary on this time period. And like, firstly, I just don't think enough time has passed. Secondly, people tend to not do it very well. I think this is another example of that. Like it's kind of trite and overwrought with its comparisons to the pandemic in 2020. Yeah, I'm struggling to get through this. I'm not having a good time, I'm gonna be honest, but hopefully M. Night Shyamalan levels of twists happen and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy, I never saw this. I do think it's weird that like we seem to, in these last 2 chapters, like really not learn anything additional about Iris's life as a human. Like we learn about her as obviously making a deal with the occupants and killing everyone in the facility that they were testing to try to save humanity. But like we don't get any more backstory on like her mother or her friends, and even the stuff we do get is very like coded in this like Bumblebee-esque way of like, you know, using radio to communicate, but instead of in this, it's like the occupants are using memories to do the exact same thing, which is like pulling these little pieces that we have no context for. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully it gets better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with everything you guys have said, but I think there's room for improvement, but I don't think any of the things that maybe fall short like do much for me. The narrative is just so like there's so many times during this leg where I sat down and I paused the game for like 5 minutes and just like speculated with myself. Like there was so much just like me trying to figure out what's happening in the narrative, trying to put things together, put pieces together, trying to connect dots. And there's so many like intrigue with the narrative for me that like none of the gameplay stuff really does much for me. Now I'm not saying that you're like the frustrations are not justified. I can see the shortcomings that the game has, but I don't know the story. I'm here for the story and I'm excited for it. And I want to know more about it. And I'm interested of this world. And you're right. We don't have a lot of context for Iris, but I think per the story and little hints from Matt that and maybe all of our opinions coming together, this next section is going to be info dump on Iris, and we get to more see her life. We got a little bit of it in the beginning, but more that was just set dressing for who Iris was and how this world came to be with her immunity and being taken by the military and everything. So maybe we get more context for Iris as a person and her role with this. I'm with Ben where I don't even think that we talked about the fear tactic and using fear. It doesn't seem like Iris really has even any understanding of those things happening. I mean, again, maybe it could be playing off the idea of her being immortal and time really doesn't matter for her. So she's still conscious of actively making decisions if she's the one that's doing that. But I think it's the occupants. I think like you're saying, maybe she's just like a pawn in all of this and she's not really pulling any of the strings. God, you look like you wanted to make a comment so many times.
No, I just you know, you mentioned the things that are bad, and you could recognize that, and like I do think because last time I said I'm not you know, swayed by the fact that so many people love this game. I do think I kind of am. Like I do think I'm extra harsh because so many people are like, this is incredible, and I'm like, really? Is it though? And I am a natural contrarian, and I'm a natural person who dislikes people liking things, and that you know does play a role. And I may be hyperfixating on some of the flaws of this game a little bit more than they deserve to. The narrative does have interesting aspects, I will say that. And to your point, there are moments, for better or for worse, where I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I'm trying to figure it out. Exactly. And like, you know, it does lead to interesting discussions. I just think a lot of the delivery is messy in a way that irks me more than it would irk most people. These are the things that get to me personally. So
and I think for you, this will probably be one of those situations which we talked about in our tier list episode, where you come out of it really enjoying our conversations about the game, less so what the game was doing. You really have our discussion, like the back and forth of what's happening, what we like, what we dislike, ends up being more favorable and enjoyable than the actual experience of the game that you were playing to, which is fair, which is totally fine. That is a fine opinion to have for sure. Well, yeah, Matt, do you have any parting thoughts for us? Anything as we're going into
to
this
send
next
us
section?
on our journey?
Send us on our journey.
So yeah, I don't want to give anything away. I will say that it's funny. I joked that I was like shocked that Kai wasn't enjoying his time with it, but ultimately because of having heard the Citizen Sleeper season, I see a lot of parallels. And if the mechanics aren't doing it for you, the story has to do it for you, because Citizen Sleeper is one of my favorite games of all time because the story drew me in so much. I didn't care about the mechanics, struggle, whatever. But also something that you should know about me that I don't know that anyone on this call has the same vibe. But for me, when I encounter a story, I'm in. Like I just lean in. I don't have questions. I don't push back. I just lean in until the end of the ride. It's how I survived many seasons of Doctor Who. It's how I got through all the Yakuza games. Because like the Yakuza games famously, the last chapter is a giant trip, like a giant like narrative like twist or whatever. And I never see them coming. Could be as obvious as day to anybody else. I never see them coming. And so for a game like this, I agree that the mechanics are not doing anything interesting. I don't have much friction with them, which I think is where it kind of washes over for me. But if I wasn't having a good time playing, like Kai is, that makes sense because then the narrative has to get you there. And so for me though, when I played it the first time and even coming back to it this time, the friction was there for half a second, and then as soon as the narrative snowballs, I go, oh no, I'm in. Because I think that to me, the story it's telling, especially now having experienced complete and now coming back to it, I'm seeing things I missed the first time or the second time even. And so I think that I'm curious to hear Kai's thoughts at the end of it, because just because you'll have the full narrative picture. And like even with Citizen Sleeper, you said, like, I understand why people like this game. It did have great writing. It just wasn't for me. The mechanics didn't do it. Like, and I think it's why Kai, and I've said this before, is one of my favorite contrarians, because you never I'm serious though. I'm serious because like Kai never walks away from a game going, this fucking sucks and you suck for liking it. It's always you laugh, but there's so many people on the internet who do that, but you come away from it going, here's what I learned, here's why I didn't like it, but I see why people like it. And I think that's the most I could wish for someone who doesn't like a game that I like, right?
Chrono Trigger. I don't understand why anyone
fair enough. That's all right. We'll be enemies for life just because of that. But yeah, I mean, I think my words of wisdom are, let the story hit you. I think go for the ride. I think no matter what, it's worth discussing for sure. Yeah. For me, this was one of my top games of 2024 because of the story. The mechanics, again, the friction of the map I forgot about till I started playing again, because if a game's story is strong enough, it's like anything, right? If you really loved something, the minor like nitpicks or whatever fall away until you revisit the thing.
Kai's a Ratchet and Clank fan. He fully understands
that. Hold on there.
Excuse me.
I mean, I've only played the 2016 remake and I thought it was great, but I've never played any of the other games.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. That's all you need.
That's all I needed. But yeah, I think that I'm really excited to listen to the rest of the episodes. As I said, I'm a fan of the pod. I'm excited to be here, but like I like your discussions of narratives, and like I'm really curious to see what this group, specifically knowing all three of your personalities, makes of this. Like I know, Jared, you said you picked this at the beginning because it's another sad boy game and you love sad boy games, and you've seen some of it already, but y'all ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit. Okay. Well,
not necessarily sad boy stuff, but like there are surprises in this story to come, and I'm really excited for you guys to discuss it. An honor to be a part of this journey.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. But I share very similar sentiments with games to you, Matt, where like for me, it takes a lot to like pull me out of an experience. But like,
I mean, I know you played Star Fox Adventures and claims to still like it. So I don't know.
Hey, I like Star Fox Adventures too.
Game is whack.
Whoa, hold on.
Oh, wait.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm very easily immersed, and it takes a lot to pull me out. So like with this, I'm just like, I'm here. Like I'm here for the ride, and I'm enjoying the journey of it. I'm in it. I'm in it.
The land of the waifus. That's where we are.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all that we have for this episode. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for getting to the end of the episode as always. Matt, thank you so much for coming on and being our first guest in our book club series, which is an exciting thing we're going to do going forward.
Yeah, it's fun to do it for a game I've played already and just go to the chapters. It'll be fun to do it sometime down the line. I'm sure you guys don't want me back for another 10 years anyway, but for a game that I'm actively playing along with you could also be fun. But it was an honor to be a part of it. I love coming on the show. We've had great combos. It's always, I think I pick on Kai a lot because it's fun, but also I think
I feel that.
Well, because I don't know if you guys talked about it. So me, Kai, and Jared watched the Game Awards this year together.
Oh yeah.
And Kai and I had so much fun just going back and forth on the nonsense that was happening.
Yeah.
And so like there's what I love and what you guys understand with the show is that there's a good camaraderie of like, even if I don't like a thing, make fun of and understand. There's a Kai never goes, this sucks and I don't care. It's this sucks and here's why. And I like that reaching out, right?
It's also an opinion. I want to be clear.
Yes,
very
of course.
clear.
Well, yeah, and that's
I say this sucks for me, which really,
which is also more than most capital G gamers do. Is like this sucks and you suck for liking it, which is the internet.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which is why I avoid the internet.
Yeah,
smartest man out of all of us is not online at all.
Yes.
Matt, I do want to give you the chance here to kind of plug the show, and
I mean, I feel like at this point, people know
who you are.
Although it's funny, like I have this experience with a different podcast where I guess someone never listened to the episodes I was on because there were specific games. So then I was on an episode they did listen. They were like, "Oh, I didn't imagine Matt's voice sounded like that based on their photos." I was like, "I've been on like 10 episodes before this. What are you talking about?" But yeah, I'm the host of Reignite and Fun and Games. Reignite is a play along podcast, not too dissimilar to this, but focusing on BioWare franchises. We started with the Mass Effect trilogy, then went to Mass Effect Andromeda, and now we're doing the Dragon Age series. as of when we're recording, we are coming towards the end, the final 19 to 20 episodes of Act 3 of Dragon Age 2, and then we will move on to Inquisition. So come through. Act 3 is where shit goes down. So definitely a good place to jump in and hear the narrative. And so I do that with the incredible Frankie Bradley Lestrange. Excited to keep moving through the Dragon Age oeuvre. It's been really fun to revisit these games that I have less experience with than Mass Effect, which I've played over and over and over and over again. And then I also host a podcast with the incredible Jeff Moonen called Fun and Games. As I mentioned before, it's broadly a topic-based discussion show. As of when we're recording, but long after this comes out, we also have a sub-series called Side Quests, where Jared's done several episodes, and Benji's about to have an episode come out. It's already out by the time you hear this on Sunday Gold, which was excellent, and you should definitely go check it out. But the main show is basically broadly topic-based. We just did our end-of-year wrap-up, where Jeff and I go over our top 10 games of the year and talk about what we played and all of that stuff, which is more current events-y than other episodes in the year. By the time this comes out, we'll also have had our interview with the solo dev of Gigasword, which was a popular indie game that came out in
cool.
2025 with Jack Breen, who is a delight and had a lot of insights about what it's like to make a game by yourself over time and doing literally everything, the design, the composition, all of it. And so definitely a good episode to go check out. So go give that a listen. And then if you want to find me, I'm on mostly Blue Sky at djstormageddon.com, which is also the URL to find all the stuff I just talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have quick links to it in the description so you can easily find all of those as well and check out Matt everywhere they are there. So, like I said, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for getting to the end of the episode. Next week, we're going to be joined by the Gaming Duo podcast, and we're going to be drafting some video game side characters, the best side characters in video game we're going to be drafting. Ben has already taken Kim, so whoever
whoever gets the first out of the three of us, assuming that one of them doesn't take it, is taking Kimball 100%.
Yeah. I mean, also arguably one of the best side characters ever written.
Absolutely.
So, that's without a doubt.
So be excited for that. And in the next episode of 1,000 Times Resist, we're going to be going through chapters 6, 7, and 8. And Matt brought him up earlier, but Rick Firestone from Pixel Project Radio will be joining us for that episode too. So we get to have
greatest
some
name in podcasting,
Rick Firestone, baby.
Love
so
it.
We're going to get his points of view on 1,000 Times Resist, and we're going to be talking about those sections as well. The penultimate episode of 1,000 Times Resist. So that's going to be exciting. But until then, we love you all so very much. Thanks for supporting the show, and we will see you next time. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.